Who doesn't love chicken fettuccine Alfredo? Or for that matter, anything Alfredo, fettuccine Alfredo. So today we are doing Alfredo, but we're bringing it up a notch and we are doing a dirty Alfredo sauce. So we're making dirty chicken fettuccine Alfredo. Hey everybody, it's Walter from Artistic Gourmet Adventures. My wife Kim and I own this unique small group tour company where we host groups of 6 to 12 guests for 1 week luxury adventures in beautiful locations throughout Europe and the United States. I have the privilege of being the adventure chef, creating and preparing daily gourmet meals for our guests. We also enjoy creating in-home private dinners for clients and friends when we're back in the States. Many of our guests request our recipes and want to learn cooking tips. So, in this video series, from our cozy home kitchen here in the beautiful Loire Valley of France, we will demonstrate a wide variety of recipes, from culinary classics to originals, as well as covering professional kitchen techniques for the home chef. For more information on Artistic Gourmet Adventures, check our website, linked in the description below. Now, let's start cooking! So we're doing a dirty Alfredo sauce. And what's the difference between a dirty Alfredo sauce and a regular Alfredo sauce? Well, if you've made Alfredo sauce before, you know that it's really basically equal volumes of butter, heavy cream, and Parmesan cheese. And you put it in the skillet and you let it cook for about 15 minutes and it's done. So it's very, very simple to do Alfredo sauce. We're doing what I'm calling a dirty Alfredo sauce, and what that means is I'm just adding some elements to it that make it look like it's not the white Alfredo sauce that you're used to, but it's going to have incredible flavor. So these are our elements. The first element that we're going to add to this is we're using lardons or bacon. So lardons are basically thick bacon that have been cut crosswise into about a 1/4 inch dice. So that's going to be our first element. And then we've got our pasta, and I'm kind of going in the order in which we're doing this. So we're gonna render the fat from our lardons, and then we're going to put our pasta on to cook. And that'll probably take, once the water comes up to a boil, it'll probably take 7 or 8 minutes, something like that. And then once we have rendered the fat from our bacon, we are then going to put our vegetables in. And so our vegetables today are 1 red onion. And actually, this is a small red onion. We may use half or a little bit more than half of that. We're going to use half each of a yellow, red, and a green bell pepper. And just for a little color, we're going to blister some tomatoes, probably closer to the end. We'll add a little bit of garlic to our mix. And then we've got our butter, and we've got our cream, and a little bit of white wine, and a little bit of chicken stock. And we'll finish it with some chopped parsley and our Parmesan cheese. And I just thought today that we would literally do this in real time, just really so you can see kind of the timing and how easy it is to do it. So we'll get started with that in just a second. To get started with our Alfredo sauce, we are going to render the fat from our lardons. And lardons is just like making bacon. And one of the mistakes that I think people do with bacon even a lot is they try to cook it too fast. You really need to cook it slowly so you can slowly render the fat from it. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to put it into really a fairly, it's not a hot pan, and we're just going to put that over a medium-low heat. And we'll let that cook slowly, and that way it'll render the fat without burning the bacon. So we'll just let that go over probably a medium heat there. All right, now we can also go ahead and put our water on, and once that comes to a boil, we'll add a little bit of salt like we always do. Always salt your water for pasta. That water should taste like the sea, and then we'll drop our pasta into there. So while the fat is rendering, the water is coming to a boil, let's break down our vegetables. And the first vegetable that we're going to break down is our onion. So we've got one red onion here. And we're just going to slice this red onion. And I'm just showing you the way that I normally would do this. All right, so we've cut off the top and the bottom, and I still have a little bit of the root there, but we'll cut that out. So we'll just slice it in half. Remember, it's flat on the bottom, so we're not doing this. We're putting our hands on either side, make a bridge, and just come right down the side. Okay, so now we've got our onion cut in half. I'm just going to cut this root out right there. And for slicing, we're just going to go right down the side of the onion just like this. Just like that. And I'm using my knuckles to guide my knife. And when I get to a point where it's too small, I'll just flip it that way. My thumb is back here to keep the onion from moving. And we'll just continue on just like this. And this is a relatively small onion. So I think that we'll just use the entire onion. Can't have too much onion, can you? All right, so, and I'll just go ahead and get that done. Now, got our onion done. Now for bell peppers. When you're breaking down a bell pepper, for what we're going to do today, we're making basically batons. So I just come down on one end, come down on the other end, and we'll just come right down inside the bell pepper and just bring our knife along the ribs, just like this. And we've got a little baby in there, but that will break down on bell pepper. And like I said, we're going to use half. So we just come this way, and I've got the skin side down on this bell pepper. And we're just doing batons, just like that. Okay, and I can hear that our lardons are rendering. So now it's time to give them a little bit of a stir. All right, on to our green bell pepper, same thing. And right there, and right along the rib. And of course, the key to all of this is having a very, very sharp knife. As you can tell, this knife I'm using is quite sharp. And I like doing the batons here just because it just kind of mirrors the shape of the tagliatelle, the pasta that we're using today. And there's that one. And a yellow pepper. And then, of course, you'll keep the rest of the pepper for other uses, salads, other things that you're going to be using peppers for. Okay. All right. So we're doing this, and we're rendering our fat in our bacon so that pretty much by the time the fat is rendered, we'll be ready to add our vegetables. So for the garlic, we are just going to cut off the root end on both sides, just like that. And now we're just going to smash it. And that way the husk comes right off, just like that. Smash that one. Husks comes right off. And if you wanted to be really careful about mincing your garlic, you could take your knife, just like we do onions and bell peppers, do that kind of thing, do something like that. Same thing with the other one, where we're just coming down, and now we'll just come straight down like this. And we've got our garlic separated from the rest of our vegetables. Why do we have that? Well, garlic tends to cook a little bit faster than other vegetables. So that if we put that in at the same time as we put the other vegetables, we would burn our garlic. So that's why we've separated it, and we'll put that in close to the end of the time that we are doing our garlic. Our water has come to the boil, and so now we will go ahead and salt our water. And I'm probably putting about 2 tablespoons of kosher salt. And we'll drop our pasta. And I'm doing basically about 2 servings of pasta. Okay, our lardons have rendered, and now we're actually going to add, there wasn't that much fat in these lardons, so we're going to add a little bit of oil to this pan. And I'm using olive oil in this case because it is a flavoring element. And so we will now add our vegetables. And our aim with this is basically to sweat our vegetables. That is to cook them until they're soft and translucent. So we'll let that get going. That one escapee. And we will just let that go for probably 7 or 8 minutes. And those should be nice and soft and sweated. Okay, that is it for our vegetables. We've got our pasta going. Once our vegetables sweat a little bit, we'll put our garlic in. And then we're gonna add a little bit of butter to this as well. It's very difficult to make Alfredo sauce without some butter. So once these vegetables get about halfway sweated, we'll go ahead and add some of the butter. And I may even have a little bit more butter than I need. What I've measured here is about a cup of cream, a cup of chicken stock, and a half a cup of white wine, and probably a half a cup of butter. So this Alfredo sauce is going to be have a little bit less fat than your regular Alfredo sauce, because the regular Alfredo sauce, as I said earlier, is literally just butter, cream, and Parmesan cheese. So in our case, we're making it very healthy. We've got vegetables and some healthy fats in here, along with these vegetables. So there's our vegetables. And now we can add a little bit of our butter. And that's actually probably enough. That's probably 2 tablespoons of butter. That's all we're going to need. And once our butter gets rendered and melted and our vegetables are all soft, we're going to deglaze this pan with some white wine. And this is where it's a little bit different than a standard Alfredo sauce, is that we're using white wine and chicken stock as opposed to 2 cups of cream to give us our liquid. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat up a little bit and let this get a little bit aggressive, so that we will, when we put our wine in, it will start boiling, and we want to actually reduce that wine probably by at least half. We want to cook the alcohol out of it, and so it's going to come to a boil, and we're going to reduce it by about half of the volume. And at that point, we'll put in our chicken stock, and we'll probably reduce that to about 1/3 of the volume. And then we'll finish it with our cream and then our Parmesan cheese. Okay, our vegetables are 3/4 done. So we'll go ahead and now we'll stick our garlic in. And we'll just get that mixed in. And of course you could use more or less garlic if you'd like. As far as I'm concerned, there's never too much garlic. Okay, garlic's in. Now let's deglaze our pan with our white wine. And now we'll turn our heat up quite high, because we want that to come to a boil and start reducing that white wine. And what reducing does is intensify the flavor, but it also helps to evaporate the alcohol. So if if you don't drink or you're worried about that, there's really no alcohol left once this reduces and it cooks the alcohol out. It just helps in providing some great flavor to this whole thing. And as this cooks and reduces, you'll see it kind of thickening up a little bit, and that's what we want, because that means it's imparting flavor. And we've got our pasta going, and when you buy, of course this is prepared pasta, but it doesn't take very long at all. In fact, this may be done. You want your pasta to be al dente, and it's not done yet, but al dente is where it still has a bite to it. So because the pasta will also get cooked a little bit once we put it into the sauce. Our wine has been going and it's now reduced by about half. So now it's time to add our chicken stock. So I'm going to add, it's about a cup of chicken stock. I think I'll just go ahead and add all of it. We'll add all of our chicken stock. And again, we want to bring that to the boil. And once our chicken stock reduces by about maybe a third, we will then add our cream. There we go. So if your pasta happens to get done before everything else is done, you can always take it out. And we always want to we're going to leave a little bit of the pasta water just in case we need to thin our mixture. So we can take our pasta out. And now we'll empty most of our water. And we'll keep some of it in here just to keep it warm. And we'll just let our pasta sit over that. In the meantime, our chicken stock is boiling, and we'll let that go ahead and reduce. Our chicken stock is reduced by probably a little bit more than a third, and so now it's time to go ahead and add our cream. So we'll add our cream, and just as an aside, just so you know, the pasta, I've added a little bit of olive oil to it just to keep it from sticking together. So it should be just fine there. Okay, so now we've got our cream in. We're just going to let that come up to a nice little simmer. And at that point, we'll add our Parmesan cheese, and I'm going to chat about Parmesan cheese for just a second. Make sure when if you go to the trouble of making this by hand and doing it from scratch, make sure you get a nice fresh Parmesan cheese. Try to refrain from getting the pre-grated Parmesan cheese. First of all, there are elements that are added to that cheese to keep it from sticking together. And people may be allergic to it. There's flour in it, that kind of thing. This is an 18-month aged Parmesan cheese, and it just has an incredible flavor. So much better than the stuff that you would get in a box or in a can or in a bag or something like that. So while that is getting ready, I am going to sear our tomatoes. So we've got our tomatoes here. I've put a little bit of olive oil in this pan. And we've also, just to add another little element to our meal, we've got a chicken breast that just, and this is what you can do with this meal. You can add chicken to it, you can add shrimp to it, any vegetables you'd like to add to it. All of those things make it great. So basically what we're making today is chicken Alfredo. Okay, our oil is heated here, so we'll just throw our tomatoes in. Anytime I'm blistering tomatoes, I like to add a little bit of salt to that. And And perfect. And we don't want them just cooked to death. We just want to blister them a little bit, so that's great. And now for our Parmesan. So our sauce is ready. We'll just grate our Parmesan in. And so we used a cup of cream. We'll probably use basically maybe a half to 3/4 cup of Parmesan. And Parmesan is what Alfredo sauce is about. So, all right, our tomatoes are ready. Take those out. And let's just warm our chicken breast up in the same pan. Been nice and grilled. So we're just going to warm it up a little bit. Beautiful. And continue on with our Parmesan. And of course, you know, you could use your big box grater for this as well. But why make it easy, right? All right. Parmesan's in. Get it stirred around. And depending on how loose or how thick you like your Alfredo sauce, that is just fantastic. And this, as it melts into the sauce, it's going to thicken up a little bit. So we'll throw a little bit of that, and then and then we'll also finish it with some Parmesan over the top. So who could argue with that? All right, wonderful. Very good. Parmesan's in. Now let's throw our pasta in. Oh, yes. Okay. And we just want everybody to have a little bit. We don't want any fettuccine to feel left out. So worked out perfectly. Fantastic. And you know what? We're going to actually add, I'm not sure if I mentioned this earlier, but I'm just going to add a little pinch of nutmeg to this. And it just really provides a little bit of brightness in there. And you know, if you wanted to go with a little bit of red chili peppers, you could do that. And so I think, yes, let's do that. Just add a little bit of kick to it. And now we can add our tomatoes in. Very nice. And maybe a little bit of black pepper. And now you'll notice that we didn't add any salt. And why is that? And that is because Parmesan generally is a pretty salty cheese. So we'll taste our sauce and see if we need any salt to be added to it. Let's see. Oh my goodness. It's absolutely perfect. It just really is. Doesn't need anything. I mean, if you're a salt freak, you could certainly add a little bit of salt to it. But again, we're going to finish it with a little bit more Parmesan cheese over the top. But, oh, I just don't think you could ask for better. So we'll get this finished up and we'll plate it and we'll test it out. Okay, we are ready to plate. And as I said, I grilled just a breast of chicken, And man, this is so good. It's just literally salt and pepper, and I put a little bit of smoked paprika on it. And garlic salt, I think I put some garlic powder, salt and pepper, and a little bit of smoked paprika. And olive oil, let it marinate for probably 10 minutes, and then just put it on a grill, flipped it once, and it was done in about eight minutes. So it should be nice and juicy and great topping for our dish. So there we go. Oh, look at that. Nice. Oh yeah, nice and juicy, perfectly done chicken. Very good. All right, so our chicken is ready to go. We will get rid of that. Now we'll pull our plate here. And we are ready to plate. Okay, beautiful. Okay, here we go. Nice serving. Maybe just a tad bit more. Wonderful. Nice veggies. And did somebody say cheese? Yes, let's put a little bit more of our Parmesan on top of that. Just a wee bit. And let's top it. A couple of pieces of our chicken. Wonderful. And while you weren't looking, I went ahead and I chopped up my parsley. So we'll just finish the plate with a little bit of our parsley. And one more thing there. And there we have it. Our Dirty Alfredo sauce, basically made into a chicken Alfredo. Well, I think it's about time we taste our Dirty Alfredo sauce. So let's get a little bit of the chicken, and we'll get some of the pasta, some of these fantastic peppers, all of that in there. Give that a shot. Oh my goodness. Unbelievable. Really, the bacon, the beautiful Alfredo sauce. You don't even miss all the extra cream. You know, this is literally about half the cream that you would normally put in an Alfredo sauce. But the flavor, because we reduced that beautiful wine and we put some chicken stock in it, the flavors all come through just perfectly. Got some blistered tomatoes, some fresh parsley, some 18-month aged Parmesan cheese. All these elements work together to make this just up a little bit more of a notch than what a regular Alfredo sauce is. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more, give us a thumbs up below and hit that subscribe button. It's free. And ring the bell if you want to be notified as soon as we release a new video. Also, let us know in the comments if you have any special recipe requests. We really appreciate you tuning in. See you next time.